Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at Thursday's top stories with three mid-range comedians. Let's have a quick taste of what Jonathan and Adam will have to deal with on the front pages. The Telegraph leads with Badenoch, Tories failed on immigration. Yeah, tell me something I don't know. The Guardian lead with police investigate more than 100 claims of rape and abuse by Fayed. The Sun has morning has broken. The Mail has Kemi, Britain is not a hotel, it's our home. She sounds like my mum telling me to turn the lights off. The Metro has £177 million. It could be who? That's an unknown lottery winner who needs to check their numbers. And the Daily Star has, it's a great day to be a duck. We're going to get bad weather. So let's have a closer look at those front pages, starting with the Daily Mail. Jonathan, what have they got?
What have they got? The Daily Mail are leading with Kemi, Britain is not a hotel, it's our home. I'd like to say I also had the same joke. Sounds like my mum when I make the kitchen a mess. Anyway, so in her first major speech, new Tory leader takes fight to reform by pledging total overhaul of our, in quotes, broken immigration system. So last night, Kemi Badenoch signalled a tough new Tory approach to immigration. And what's interesting here is that Kemi fully accepted that the Tories' previous policy wasn't working, which I think is something, actually quite refreshing.
The policy of letting anybody who wants come into the country and paying for the hotels and doing nothing to stem the flow.
I guess it was a hotel. Yeah.
And we had that barge as well. Don't forget about the barge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What happened to that barge?
Well, Labour actually closed it down because they said it's not a nice enough hotel for the illegal immigrants.
The TripAdvisor review was no good. Well, but I do think this is refreshing that Kemi is saying that there's a problem here, because if you take Kamala, for example, when she was campaigning, she wouldn't admit any of the flaws or the previous mistakes that the Biden and her administration had done. So the fact that they're taking ownership...
I guess Kamala was more of a sort of central figure in the Biden administration. But it's nice to see Kemi sort of make a clean break with the previous bunch of wets in the Tories. I mean, I think whatever Tory administration we're going to see, they're going to be much more muscular and much more, dare I say it, actually conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of people, stating the obvious. So I'm glad Kemi's come out and done this. It's great. Maybe a little bit too late though. I mean, we've got to wait 5 years now for or maybe not.
Don't ruin what's coming up.
You've all signed the petition. But yeah, a little bit too late. But yeah, it's nice that she's speaking some sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on, Adam, we've got the Daily Telegraph. What have they got?
Yes. So again, we're going to go through the whole story. I'm going to forget about the Badenoch we've just talked about, Badenoch even. PM races to thwart Trump on Chagos deal. So this is basically the idea that so Keir Starmer is trying to rush through a treaty giving away the Chagos Islands before Donald Trump becomes US president. So as we know, that was basically a deal that was going to go through, and Trump and actually basically their parties basically said, we think this is a bad idea. We like having this strategic base, because even though it's a British military base, it is occupied by the American military. Very strategic place for us. And the idea of, I think the current deal that we were supposed to get, that they want to rush through, is one where we give them back, but we pay them for a lease, and I don't know how it serves the British people other than maybe virtue signalling.
We're shorting an island.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, having actual sovereignty, having actual ownership of the islands, that's much more robust than having a 99-year lease. I mean, they could be like, you know what, we don't like this lease anymore, and you don't really have the same sort of legal mechanism to say, actually, this is our land. But I mean, I think this headline is actually possibly a bit behind the times. I saw something flash up on my phone that said
the Times is next.
The Chagos deal is off the cards now, so it's staying with Britain. I don't know why Keir Starmer was so in such a hurry to get rid of the Chagos Islands, given that the Chagos Islanders themselves, who for some reason most of them seem to live around Gatwick Airport now, but they don't want Chagos to be given to Mauritius or wherever it is. It's not a Mauritius rumour.
Yeah.
Hey-o. But also Trump doesn't want it. I mean, it seems like a geopolitically terrible thing to do.
I don't know how it serves us. How does it serve the UK, really?
Absolutely. Nobody wanted it. They're also saying...
Gen Z
spends up to 6 hours a day online. Who would have guessed? I mean, of course.
Look, those antidepressant unboxing videos aren't going to watch themselves.
They are great, and I watch all of them.
Oh, yeah. Sertraline. And the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, young people are spending increasingly times online. Yeah, of course. I mean, that doesn't seem like... Yeah.
And they don't answer the phone.
Yeah, very
Hey,
scared, very scared.
that's coming up later.
Okay, no spoilers. Something else we're going to talk about later. So
sorry.
Trump's energy pick has attacked the UK's net zero plan. So we're going to be talking about Ed Miliband in a moment. His disaster. I mean, everything everything the Labour administration do, it's not just bad on one facet. Every single angle is bad. I just can't believe it. So we're going to get to that in a moment. But on the front pages, let's have a look at The Guardian. They've got a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. So the main headline is police investigate more than 100 claims of rape and abuse by Fayed. That's very sort of troubling. So assisted dying case.
And there's also, I think they're investigating up to 5 people who may have helped Fayed in his crimes,
or
in his alleged crimes. So that's a case that's clearly going to unravel. I don't know if it's at it's got sort of Savile-esque vibes.
Yeah.
Even some of the women who come forward were saying, well, we couldn't do anything because we'd have lost our jobs. And it's like, well, you work in a shop. Surely you could lose that job.
It's not any shop. It's not Fortnum and Mason's.
It is the nicest shop.
And then we've also got, I think, what can be described as good news. Thousands head home after truce in Lebanon. So there seems to be at least a step in the right direction to some form of stability and perhaps even peace in the Middle East.
Yeah,
so
everyone, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Supposedly 60 days, apparently, So
60 days. So this is. I assume this is to give Joe Biden time to focus all the military capacity on Ukraine.
Yeah,
Make that as difficult as possible for Putin before Trump gets in.
Well, when they said so Hezbollah is basically said, okay, we'll agree to have a bit of a ceasefire. I'm like, well, are there any of you left? I would have thought the pages got all of you. Got all of them.
Yeah, that's true. I actually do think they have. Israel have absolutely sort of stunted that army. I guess Hezbollah. Yeah. So it does seem to be.
And
it's really been a humiliation for Hezbollah and for Hamas. I mean, they've been absolutely. There hasn't really been any.
Oh, I know the guy who was their tech guy, and he's had a terrible time. So it's no good.
Is that Darius Davies? And also this assisted dying case. I mean, I heard Ben Leo talking about it in the previous show, and it's something that I used to think, give people the choice. If they're at the end of their life, then give them the choice. But we've seen. So quickly, it changes. The goalposts move so quickly in places like Canada, where it went from we're just going to help end-of-life people to have a more dignified end. To killing 21-year-olds and killing homeless people.
Have you lost your keys? Bitcoin not doing as well as you'd hoped. We have the product for you.
Having a bad day.
The assisted dying case is very interesting, isn't it? Because I think I agree with you guys, but also I would like for it to be reserved for cyclists and estate agents. If they want to end themselves, that's fine.
Yeah. How about we have it, but I get to choose. And we do it with a shovel. Moving on, we've got the Daily Express. Adam, what have they got?
So this Daily Express, and the headline reads, "You are stealing our children's future and destroying the hard work of generations before us." So this is, of course, regarding the inheritance tax threat that farmers are facing. This is obviously very disheartening news, especially for farmers. And we also saw the huge protests the other day where thousands upon thousands of farmers all across the country came to protest outside Parliament. You had Jeremy Clarkson there, you had lots of prominent figures. This is very disheartening, isn't it? I think anyone who's got a brain between, in their head would know that this is the wrong thing. We shouldn't be attacking the people.
Nobody in Labour then.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You shouldn't be attacking people who are...
What's the phrase? You're meant to bite the hand that feeds you? I can't remember the
exact phrase.
Exactly
right, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Terrible story.
I mean, it does seem it's terrible. It's not just terrible in terms of it's only going to raise maybe half a billion pounds, £500 million.
It's a small amount.
It's a small amount in the grand scheme of things, but it's also just terrible politics. It's terrible optics for Labour to be seen to be ripping the heart out of rural communities just so they can basically ethnically cleanse families from the land, so they can put on their solar farms and
putting it in the pockets of private entities.
Illegal migrants, and it's just awful.
If we just did it with Brussels sprout farmers, I could live with that.
I know I like Brussels sprout farmers.
And also, it was revealed this week that we're giving over £500 million in overseas aid
foreign farms.
To foreign farms.
Yeah, but that food's more delicious.
But that's the amount. Yeah, we probably eat more of their food. But that's the amount that that Labour are hoping to raise from farmers in this country through this inheritance
I'm not
tax.
sure about
Surely
these
we
Labour
could just
guys.
not do. Just don't give the money to farmers in Peru or Rwanda or places that really aren't under Labour's jurisdiction. They should really worry about Britain. You know what I mean? Call me a bigot, but I think they should be the government for the
That is
UK.
very
Oh,
big
Twitter will do that.
Yeah, that just seems an obvious thing. And finally, we've got the Daily Star. Seems like we're not finally clear of the bad weather.
We're not. So, spoiler alert, it's a great day to be a duck. 154 flood alerts as 2 weeks rain falls in a single day. So it's going to get wet, and we're going to have to deal with it, I suppose.
And we've also got £5 off when you spend £25 at Dobby's Garden Centres, which is local to me.
Really? I've never been Dobbs. I've never been Dobby's.
Place.
And also, Peter Crouch is sexy, apparently, which Peter Crouch was, until Peter Crouch appeared, my excuse for being bad at football was, look, I'm 6'6". And then Peter Crouch comes along and he's like, whatever it is, 8'9" or something.
Yeah,
like,
He was a goalie, was he? No.
No, he was a striker.
An actual striker?
He was a
Scored lots of
I
goals.
don't know football. But
He did the fun dance. And finally, how to spot a psycho.
Right.
oh, got one.
Well, this one's wearing a mask. The sort of mask
Yeah.
you put on psychopaths
Obvious.
to stop them biting people. Anyway, we've got the Express now, and Ed Miliband is accused of destroying British farmland to help China. And not everybody's happy about it, Jonathan.
Well, you think farmers are annoyed. I look like the man. How do you think I feel? It's not great. OK, so fanatical Ed Miliband isn't just destroying the UK economy. He's a national security risk. So Miliband plans to make Britain a clean energy superpower with, I believe, zero carbon electricity by 2030. So that's not far away now.
Yeah.
That's coming soon. And yeah.
That is yeah.
And there's some crazy stats, like he wants to quadruple the amount of wind power generation that we've got. And we're already world leaders in wind power generation.
But also
we get a lot of energy from renewables.
all that manufacturing, all those wind turbines, that all comes from China. So we're sort of playing into the manufacturing pockets of China.
Well, one of the criticisms here is that
I made it up.
British manufacturers don't have time to scale up to meet the demand. So he's going to have to be dependent on China for solar panels, for wind farms. And a lot of that is a security risk as well. So it means Chinese electronics are in our grid, in our network.
All of it,
Who knows what China could do, with regards to, they could switch off our energy at critical points if we ever engage in conflict.
And that, I mean, so I completely agree with you there, Leo. And for some people might say, oh, that sounds a bit far-fetched, but wasn't it when it was when Boris was in power, they were going to, I think it was China offered basically to do all the Huawei basically in terms of all the Wi-Fi's on the underground, and they had to stop all that due to genuine security threats. So
it's already happened. So,
And we've seen with Putin. I remember all the politicians, the European politicians, laughed at Trump when he suggested it was a bad idea to be dependent on Putin for gas. And a couple of years later, Putin invades Ukraine, and it turns out it is a terrible idea to be dependent on Putin for gas.
And now we're dependent on Miliband for wind. So.
there's a lot of hot air going around.
He can probably generate it himself.